The Marvel vs. Capcom series was one of the most creative fighting games in existence. Its dynamic teams-up and franchise collaboration made other fighting games obsolete. This series brought diverse and interesting characters, most of them playable, but others remained in secrecy. In this episode, join us as we discover the hidden details about all of these Street Fighter secret characters. Why was their concept created? Why did the game need hidden Street Fighter characters? Without further ado, let me welcome you to the Fighterverse. Mech Zangief is a character originating from the Marvel vs. Capcom series, first appearing in Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter as a secret fighter. In his story, Mech Zangief is a series of robotic weapons developed by Shadowloo, created specifically to combat Zangief. The initial model, known as P-Mech Zangief F, the P standing for prototype, was created by modifying a monitor cyborg, giving it a steel body and teaching it numerous throwing attacks. Its body is coated with ceramic titanium and was designed to repel any attack. If you are wondering what a monitor cyborg is, well, Street Fighter II, the animated movie, gives us a glimpse of what they are. The monitor cyborgs were created by Shadowloo scientist Senna. Their mission was to record various fights that happened around the world. This would locate the strongest fighters for M. Bison to turn them into his slaves. They have been around since the first Street Fighter, where Cyborg watched Sagat and Ryu battle in the finals. Other fights that were recorded by the cyborgs were Ken vs. T-Hawk, Dalsum vs. E. Honda, DJ vs. some street thugs, even though Chun-Li destroyed one of them, and even the final Ryu and M. Bison confrontation. This version of Zangief has many moves and variations, like for example, P-Mecha Zangief's signature technique is the vodka fire, which is produced by utilizing a stream of vodka fuel that runs throughout his body, setting it alight into a high-temperature blue flame. However, due to Shadowloo's information on Zangief's attacks being outdated, the prototype model lacks a banishing energy ejection port on its palm, leaving it unable to replicate Zangief's banishing flat maneuver. Several upgrades were introduced into a later model, known simply as Mecha Zangief F. Under Fang's direction, Shadowloo is currently developing a third model, known as Mecha Zangief MRK3. Mecha Zangief is an even slower version of Zangief who can't block. To compensate, he gains permanent super armor, and he takes reduced damage from enemy attacks. He also cannot be knocked down or stunned, taking only a slight slowdown when hit by almost anything. He loses the banishing flat, but he can use a Yoga Flame-like attack, the Vodka Fire. As a fun fact, the L ceramic titanium that coats P-Mecha Zangief's body is a reference to the ceratinium alloy created by Dr. Light from the Mega Man series, and also Mecha Zangief's slotted, metallic skin and red accents could be seen as a reference to Colossus, a Russian superhero from Marvel Comics, who often wears a red costume and has metallic, slotted skin. In addition to his debut appearance, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes gave Zangief the ability to transform into Mech Zangief through the Iron Body move, allowing him to stand a chance against much more speedy characters. He keeps this ability in the sequel. Mech Zangief appears again in Super Street Fighter IV as an alternate costume for Zangief, with a more robotic look. He also appears in the background of the Street Fighter Tekken Cosmic Elevator stage. In Street Fighter V series, Mech Zangief appears as an alternate costume for Zangief in Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, and is obtainable through the game's extra battle mode. This version is referred to as Mecha Zangief MK3, which was previously referenced in the prototype Mecha Zangief's Shadowloo Combat Research Institute entry. In the Udon comics, Mech Zangief appears in Street Fighter Unlimited No. 10's backup story, where he and fellow non-canon Street Fighter character, Cyber Akuma, battle Ken in the future. It is later revealed that the whole story was actually an unreleased video game, inspired by Street Fighter 2010, being played by Ken's son Mel. What things does Shadow Lady share with Chun-Li? Well, for starters, Shadow Lady wears the same clothes as Chun-Li, except they appear dark blue with glowing gold details, with her alternate color being pink with green glowing details. She sports a Chinese Shipao dress modified for ease of movements, combat boots, and a blue leotard with dark brown sheer pantyhose, and a blue thong underneath her dress. She also sports Chun-Li's ox horns hairstyle. As a cybernetically enhanced version of Chun-Li, she carries several weapons within her body, including missiles, lasers, and plasma generators. How about their personality? When converted, Chun-Li's normal, determined, and dedicated personality as a law officer is overwritten, and instead she becomes a subservient killing machine under M. Bison's orders, mindlessly following his orders in the manner of a robot. This personality is presented in her pre-battle intro when faced as a secret opponent in arcade mode. According to her bio, Chun-Li regained her memories shortly after the cybernetic process, after her initial secret battle in arcade mode, recovering her original personality and determination to stop M. Bison and Shadow Lu. A Shadow Lu brainwashed incarnation of Chun-Li appeared in the Street Fighter II V anime series. Though unconfirmed, this brainwash form may have served as the inspiration for Shadow Lady. Why was Shadow Lady created? Well, Shadow Lady represents a Chun-Li that has been captured and experimented on by Shadow Lu in the same manner Shadow Lu was in the previous game. Unlike Charlie, however, she was not enhanced with psycho power and was only granted mechanical and cybernetic parts to enhance her mobility and power, such as the vernier thrusters on the plant of her foot that lets her perform triple jumps. She was also outfitted with a number of weapons within her body, which became attacks replacing Chun-Li's normal moveset. She was initially a fully servient fighter to Shadow Lu and M. Bison. When confronted as a CPU opponent, Shadow Lady appears together with Bison, who floats behind her and orders her to go forth and show the world Shadow Lu's true power. According to her bio, however, she has recovered her memories shortly after her transformation and escaped Shadow Lu, joining Shadows as they fight against the evil Bison. In Chun-Li's ending, M. Bison captures her and welcomes her to Shadow Lu, but Shadow appears and saves her before anything happens. Whether this means her existence in gameplay is simply a what-if character or not is uncertain. In Shadow Lady's ending, she and Shadow arrive too late to stop Bison from fatally injuring Jin. Shadow Lady sees Jin is barely alive, and Shadow states that only cyberization can save him now. The screen then goes white, and when it fades back, Jin is seen alone, standing in place with a darker, shadow-like palette, and with his right hand turned into a drill. Jin then questions if he's alive. Is her gameplay similar to Chun-Li? Well, Shadow Lady plays almost entirely different from Chun-Li. They share some of the same moves and unique attacks, but Shadow Lady possesses a number of her own moves that display her robotic nature, such as large drills instead of hands and missiles launched off her body. The Miracle Drill, an attack that turns her hands into a drill to attack the opponent, and the Plasma Barrier, a shield made of electricity. Other unique moves she has include the triple jump and air dash, which she is capable of due to having compact vernier thrusters on her soles. Her hyper combos include the Big Bang Laser, a giant energy laser fired from her palms, the Galaxy Missile, a series of missiles that Shadow Lady shoots towards the opponent from her back, and the Final Mission, a move she shares with Shadow. Shadow Lady received a profile in the Street Fighter V Encyclopedia site in September 2016, the day after Shadow. The bio explains she was only remodeled with technology and, unlike Shadow, possesses no psycho power enhancements. Shadow Lady recovered her memories shortly after surgery, and joined Shadow Lu in opposing M. Bison and Shadow Lu. Fun fact, in her bio it states that her drills are made of an alloy of light ceramic titanium, the Japanese name of Certanium, a special material featured in the Mega Man series. In her most recent sightings, Shadow Lady made a guest appearance in Street Fighter V Arcade Edition as a limited-time boss character, fought in an extra battle event called Pursue the Mysterious Mech. Her gameplay style was an accurate homage to the character, and the fast gameplay style of Marvel vs. Capcom, performing high chain combos and aerial raves and using most of her moves and hyper combos. As a result, she was incredibly difficult to beat within the slower and less chaotic gameplay style of Street Fighter V. The reward for beating her was a title called Product of Shadow Lu. Akuma first appeared in X-Men, Children of the Atom, as a secret guest character. He is also a playable character for most of the different versions, as well as in Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. In his story, as stated by fandom, in X-Men Children of the Atom, Akuma says to Magneto in the end, "I am the Master Warrior." The credits show a bunch of X-Men characters in a dizzy motion, and after the credits, Akuma does a taunt. In Marvel Superheroes, Akuma makes a very small cameo in one of Anita's moves, Flame Sword. In X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Akuma is standing on top of a Japanese temple. Wolverine asks Akuma what he knows about his past. He says to Wolverine, "Want to talk? Force me." After that, they start to fight each other. In Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Akuma has another form, who served as a final boss. He also appears alongside Dark Sakura. when you fight her after reaching certain conditions, and in Dark Sakura's ending in the Japanese version of this game. We will go deeper on Cyber Akuma later on the video. In Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, Akuma notes that no one else is left to rival him on Earth, and prepares to journey through the galaxy to find a worthy challenger, leaving behind the bodies of Ryu, Wolverine, Captain America, Chun-Li, and Spider-Man. This mimics his ending in SNK vs. Capcom, SVC Chaos, where after he finds out no one is left to rival him on Earth, he goes back to heaven to challenge Athena's master. In Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, although Akuma does not make an appearance in the game, the Satsui no Hado plays a part in the story. Ryu seems to use little bits of it to fight against the maverick-infected Darren Moran, alongside Hulk and the Monster Hunter. When Jedha invades Avengers Tower to destroy the base along with the other heroes and Thanos inside, Ryu begins to succumb to the Satsui no Hado, catching Thanos' interest in that dark power. Thanos then interferes and stops Jedha from using the Soul Stone to weaken Ryu's human soul and turn him into evil Ryu, effectively removing a burden Ryu has had for a long time. At the end of the game's after credits scene, the Satsui no Hado gains a significant boost in a role, as Thanos stole the energy of the Satsui no Hado inside Ryu, and claims that at its full capacity and potential, it can and has destroyed a god, which he then tries to use to destroy Death and Jedha, after Death betrays him at some point in the story. Due to the cliffhanger nature of the ending, and how the game is made, plus the several nods to Ryu almost succumbing to it, Akuma is likely to make an appearance, due to him being the current physical manifestation of the Satsui no Hado. In his gameplay, while some people often refer to Akuma as a Shoto clone, characters who fight identically, or similar to Ryu, by utilizing his attacks, usually possessing a projectile and anti-air special, with a physical distance coverage optional, he has more than enough moves to distinguish himself from his lighter counterpart, utilizing a very different playstyle. Back in his earlier appearances, Akuma/Goki simply had his moves as a combination of both Ryu and Ken's. His low health, story-wise, is shown to be Akuma holding back his true power in order to enjoy his fights. Most of his recent versions are often balanced, though some game-breaking tools still tend to exist. In the Street Fighter Udon comics, Cyber Akuma appears in the backup story of Street Fighter Unlimited number 10, where he battles Ken alongside other non-canon characters Mech Zangief and Zero Akuma. The story's ending reveals that the whole thing was actually an unreleased video game, inspired by Street Fighter 2010, being played by Mel Masters while Ken and Eliza watched. Another version of Akuma is Cyber Akuma, mechanically enhanced by Apocalypse. Cyber Akuma's upgrades include a mechanical right arm, dubbed Booster Rocket, metal wings, and 4 extra arms that are only seen in one of his win poses. His first appearance was in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter as the final boss. Because of Apocalypse's control over him, Cyber Akuma's personality is vastly different from that of the original Akumas, being more surreal. Dark Sakura, also known as Sunburned, Sun-Tanned Sakura, originates from the Marvel vs. Capcom series, first appearing in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter as a secret fighter. This is a form Sakura has taken after accidentally being burnt by the sun, gaining abilities similar to users of the Satsui no Hado, except without the loss of humanity. Dark Sakura's appearance is generally the same as her normal counterpart, albeit with darker shade on her clothing. Her bloomer shorts are black instead of the traditional red. Her red hair gains a red hue similar to that of Akuma's, and her school uniform is black and gray, rather than the traditional blue and white. When she uses the Shungokusatsu, her eyes change from brown to red. The fighting gloves, headband, and shoes remain the same. In Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Dark Sakura is a secret character who utilizes a mixed moveset between her normal self and Akuma Evil Ryu, including performing the Hadouken horizontally instead of diagonally. Though Dark Sakura isn't a playable character in Street Fighter Alpha 3, she is referenced in the Japanese versions of the game. During her summer vacations, Sakura trained with Ryu on a tropical beach, learning many new techniques and getting tanned. Taking a break between matches while in the Marvel universe, Sakura laid down in a field and fell asleep. When she awoke, she found herself unusually sunburned. For the short duration that she had laid there, though slightly in pain, she proceeded to compete in the effort to defeat Apocalypse. However, not only did she find that her original fighting style had returned, but she was also even more powerful than before. Over the course of the events, her sunburn faded, and her fighting abilities returned to the way they were when she first arrived. As stated by fandom, Shadow is an original character in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. He's a palette swap of Charlie representing him after being captured by M. Bison and turned into his enforcer. In Charlie's ending for X-Men vs. Street Fighter, he is captured by M. Bison and subjected to Shadowlu's experiments. The ending itself doesn't reveal Charlie's fate after these experiments, instead showing Guile, or Charlie's friend as he's called, finding his dog tags and swearing to avenge him, in an obvious nod to his story in Street Fighter 2. In Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Charlie returns as a secret character under the name Shadow. According to his ending in the Japanese version of the game, Shadow escaped Bison and was on the run, but his battery runs out of power and Bison is able to recapture him and perform further experiments to turn him loyal, this time transforming him into a fully cyborg version of Charlie. Although this ending didn't happen, the process which turned him into Shadow is later referred to as cybernation, implying cybernetics played a part in the transformation. In Marvel vs. Capcom, Shadow returns as a secret assist character in the same form as before. In Chun-Li's ending, Shadow stops M. Bison from attempting to turn her into another slave, showing that he was still free of Bison's control. In Shadow Lady's ending, the two arrived too late to stop Bison from fatally injuring Jin and utilize cybernation to turn him into another shadow form as a way to save him from dying. By Marvel vs. Capcom 2, however, Shadow's plot is dropped and Charlie is featured in his original form with no reference as to how or if he was restored back. Shadow has all of Charlie's moves, but his attacks set his opponent alight with blue psycho power flames. His supers also have a brief pause where his eye would gleam before the move is pulled off. This detail made him somewhat unpopular, as the gleam could give an opponent enough time to block or avoid the attack. His special moves consist of the Shadow Boom, a psycho power enhanced version of Charlie's Sonic Boom, making it slightly stronger. The Shadow Shell, a psycho power enhanced version of Charlie's Flash Kick, which sets the opponent on blue flames and has greater knockback. Shadow Shell also generates a massive, crescent-shaped shockwave that flies upward at a 45-degree angle, covering almost an entire airspace above Shadow. His special move is the Final Mission, Level 3, Shadow's signature hyper combo. Shadow will attempt to launch the opponent into the air, and if he succeeds, the screen turns black in a Shun Gokusatsu fashion, and Shadow does a series of air combos on his opponent. When the screen turns visible again, the opponent falls and explodes. So what's your favorite secret character? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new theories and info. Thank you for watching.